People who imagine scenarios before they go to sleep. What is your favorite one to imagine? Definitely my future. My current situation is not so good, so having that hope for the future is really nice. Fun, childlike fantasy scenarios, like I got a superpower or switched bodies with someone. Freaky Friday style. Well, this is weird to admit, but oh well. I like to imagine that I had met my fiancé earlier in life, like at 18 or so. I just think about how it might have been if we had gotten together sooner, and all the experiences we could have shared together. It's usually a game of what if he had gone to my college and we had met in this class, and then reimagining all the things that I did alone or with other guys with him inserted in there. It's stupid, but it makes me happy. That I am a robot that needs to be powered down, so I relax every muscle individually and switch off stuff, and put it into deep breathing mode. Shite like that helps me sleep. Running into my ex in public after not seeing each other for a very long time. In every scenario I'm doing something cool, like fighting 6 guys at once and she happens to walk by. Or sometimes I have superpowers and I have to fly and save her from a burning building or something, you know. The huge. I do this extremely arrogant thing where I imagine myself nailing interviews on talk shows, or just in general. That and what it'd be like to be on the set of my first film. Standing in front of a door in a wall. If I look to my left or right, it's just to the same wall as far as I can see. Behind me is endless desert. On the door there's a counter with the number 20 on it. Every time I breathe in and out again, the counter ticks down by 1. If I get distracted or let my mind wander, the counter resets. I have to focus on the counter and my breathing. Once the counter reaches 0, the door opens and I walk through to an empty hall and up a flight of stairs. At the top of the stairs is a gate and a toll booth where a little man, or sometimes a little woman, in a kind of blue bellhop uniform requires payment before I can go through the gate. His payment is a memory from my day. Not something I want to forget, but something I need to remember. He takes the memory in the form of an old computer punch card and places it in a file with all the other memories he's collected. Then he lifts the gate and lets me walk into the darkness beyond. I don't know what's behind the gate because I tend to fall asleep shortly afterwards. It's weird, I know, but if I don't tell myself this same little play every night, my mind goes apeshit, just creating new worlds and characters and scenarios. Which is great when I'm trying to be creative, but a big pain in the balls when I'm trying to sleep. Cuddling someone. Sometimes I just cuddle a black and shaded inner silhouette of someone in my head. No face, nothing, just them hugging me as they lay on top of my chest or vice versa. I get hungry around bedtime. Like, really hungry. Last night I thought about baking myself a couch-sized chocolate eclair, burrowing my way in there and then eating my way out the other side, like a diabetic hungry caterpillar. I just try to imagine the me that I know I can be, in shape, financially secure, and traveling. Mostly alcohol is to blame. Well, rather I'm to blame for having a dependency on alcohol, but hopefully I can beat this and live the life I dream of. I'm still somewhat young, so hopefully. Laying in a hammock on a beach listening to the breeze and the waves with a beautiful shade tree overhead. IDKY. But the rocking motion of the hammock knocks me the hell out. That and the fresh breeze in my hair. Saving people from a school shooter. Sometimes a cute girl is shot, so I gotta use my genius to make a tourniquet. Sometimes one of my friends is the shooter, so I try to stop them without killing them. Going back and fixing those very awkward moments that haunt me at night. I imagine that my consciousness is sent back in time to my younger self, so that all the things I know, all of the things I've learned, I would know as a teen. I like to imagine that the side effect of this process is that I gain a perfect memory, so that everything I've ever read I have instant recall of. I then plan out a way that I could use that knowledge to change my life and sometimes the whole world. It shifts from selfishness to altruism, but it's always fun. I like pondering alternate history scenarios. There is so much stuff that if one thing goes another way, a whole domino effect happens. I often imagine just what I want my future daily life to be: coming home to my husband, currently boyfriend, having dinner together, going to bed together, learning that we're going to have a baby, all that lovey, mushy stuff, just cause that's what I really want for my actual future. I like to think about baseball. It's been my favorite sport my whole life and I played it for 10+ years until my senior year in high school. I was diagnosed with epilepsy and wasn't cleared to play, so I had to quit. I'm not good enough to play in college and I wasn't ever that good anyway. But I loved it and the camaraderie with my team so much that I usually think back to the days when I did play, and usually imagine myself performing way better than I ever did. Okay, I can answer this. Most nights as I lay in bed, I imagine being in a quiet restaurant, with large windows looking out over the ocean. It's usually nighttime. This is actually a real restaurant I went to once before on a trip that imprinted itself in my mind for whatever reason. A waiter comes up to me and asks what I would like, and I order whatever I had been craving that day, such as veggie pizzas, platefuls of spaghetti, sandwiches, chocolate cakes, etc. I have a strong imagination, so the experiences are rather realistic and generally a pleasant way to fall asleep. Plus, the general atmosphere of the restaurant is always very calm and relaxing. It's dumb, but I like to imagine holding hands with someone I really love and just talking and laughing while on a walk on a little road surrounded by flowery fields. Or playing my instrument on a huge stage in front of the biggest crowd and just successfully becoming a professional musician. Living in a cabin in the middle of the woods mountains. There's a natural swimming home between my cabin and my guest house, and there's a metal shop downstream. My cabin has 3 rooms. A studio apartment, a big, cozy library, and a secret behind the bookshelf room for reading. Building blanket forts. Wandering vagrants find my cabin and I'll let them use my library and stay in my guest house in exchange for their story company. I also imagine that I hold kick-ass parties in the guest house and that all the wandering vagrants are super attractive. It invariably depends on what I've been doing. I've been binge watching Star Trek, so my dreams have been mostly about me living in a post-Dominion War Star Trek universe. Things get really strange when I binge watch multiple shows. House, CSI, Bones make for strange scenarios/dreams. The one where all my young innocent dreams came true. Seriously though, this is one of my favorite things in the world. Going to bed, being comfortable, getting to jump off in your brain, and imagine anything in the world you want. I love my brain. I play a game where I take a person and drop them off in a time when dinosaurs are alive. They have to learn to survive. Then, it's on to another era. The Middle Ages is one of my favorite time periods. To imagine someone from 2019 survive, I basically just keep jumping ahead in time to various stages until I eventually pass out. I like to imagine people talking about me, noticing all the signs I give that something's horribly wrong with my life. Then they discuss what they'll do to make me feel better. It's bittersweet, but it helps me sleep. I think about hiking for miles through dense forests up the side of mountains. Then when I reach the top, there is a picturesque waterfall that flows into a turquoise blue pond below the other side and a rainbow from the waterfall mist. It's below the top just enough that I'm standing above it all. If I don't imagine this, I replay every stupid thing I've ever done/said in the last 20 years. How the office would react to some random thing. My mind goes down a rabbit hole of scenarios, basically constructing an episode plot. In my head, they don't ever go further than the parking lot, and it's the era before Pam leaves reception. I get different camera perspectives and interviews and all that, but the jokes aren't as funny. Often this transitions from a fun thought before bed to a full dream. It's great and all until Dwight karate chops Pam's pam-pams, or something equally stupid, because I wake myself up in laughter. I'm now 48 years old, and I can recall riding the RTD, Los Angeles bus system in the 80s, 460 line from my home to Disneyland. When I cannot sleep, I imagine being on the bus traveling the roads from Norwalk to Buena Park, Knott's Berry Farm, then on to Anaheim. Sometime I make the whole trip to the Disneyland Hotel bus stop. If I make it, before I fall asleep I walk through the parking lot and recall the smells. By the I'm out. I was 16 at the time I took this route on a regular basis. I've moved away from having an overactive imagination the past few years, but the big one is being a published writer and having an agent, editor, reader, or someone tell me that they're looking forward to my work. Like, damn, that must be amazing for there to be one person interested in your stories. To be a good enough storyteller that you can belong with people talented enough to fit in. I honestly tear up a bit thinking about how awesome it must be to be welcomed like that. I also imagine being married and raising children. Both of these, of course, also make me really sad to think about because of how far away they are from who I am.